targeted and persecuted. It's also moderate Muslims, and that there's a general wider problem with Islamist terrorism.
Well, there's definitely a problem with Islamist terrorism, but just because Muslims are being murdered, it does not negate the fact that there is a targeted ethnic cleansing of Christian Nigerians. One does not negate the other. What we can conclude from this is that there is definitely an Islamist problem. Now, one thing that the Nigerian minister is purposely forgetting to put out there is that it's not just Boko Haram, it's also the Fulani militants. Not a lot of people know about the Fulani militants. The Fulani Islamists are also the ones who are generally targeting the Christian Nigerians, especially in the Plateau Belt. And I've had several Nigerian Christians come on and speak about this. In fact, I have seen videos where you have the Fulani militants, on their motorcycles with machetes. They're driving through various towns, and you have the Nigerian military who's supposed to prevent them from going. They're getting orders to stand down and allow the Fulani militants to go through. Again, Pierce, the loss of life is horrible. But as you can tell from the minister, he's avoiding questions. He's avoiding eye contact. Instead of actually answering the questions, he's focusing more on trying to attack me and trying to, go after me because I'm not as familiar with the Constitution. I don't need to be familiar with the Constitution of Nigeria to understand that, over 50,000 Christians have been murdered since 2009. I don't have to be familiar with the Constitution of Nigeria to know that when someone yells Allahu Akbar before they massacre 200 Christians and burn Christian churches, that's not just banditry, that's jihad. And I think the reason that the foreign minister does not want to admit this is because they are somehow complicit in this. And, he is purposely saying that he is willfully ignorant, because how could the Nigerian government not know if those people who have been murdered are Christian or Muslim? The reason that he's avoiding saying that is because if they actually put out formal numbers about the numbers of Christians targeted and murdered, then they will have to admit that there was a genocide. They don't want to admit that there's a genocide, but that's exactly what's happening. And I'm glad President Trump and others are calling it out.
Foreign Minister, finally, your response to that.
Well, like I said, the lady and people like her trade in starting wars in faraway places where they have no contacts, they have no understanding of, and they can do that from their armchairs from a safe distance. It's a real life situation. This lady would not know the difference between a Fulani man, a Tiv man, an Igbo man, if they stood in front of her. But you can see clearly overnight, because it pays, she's probably making money out of it.
I'm getting $0 for this. I'm getting paid zero. I'm getting paid zero for this. I have been speaking out against human rights violations. Listen, Pierce, as you can tell, he's not able to actually answer anything that I'm saying. All he does is just attack me and attack my credibility. So I think this shows the viewers exactly where the Nigerian government is.
She's going to keep on insisting that he has not heard the figures. So that's what she's trying to do. Start a war. They want to break up Nigeria the same way they broke up Sudan, and now they've run away. She's not talking about Sudan anymore. She's not talking about South Sudan.
I actually have talked about Sudan in other episodes as well.
For Sudan to be dismembered. This is what they do. What they try to do to Africa. Nigeria is the largest country on the African continent. It is the largest shock absorber to the African continent in terms of admitting migrants, in terms of freedom of religion. It's Africa's largest democracy. But people like you, who don't really care about freedoms, about the freedoms of either Christians or Muslims or Africans, will continue to agitate for the breakup of Nigeria, for war, the same way that it's happening in South Sudan, and you've kept mum because you've moved on.
The reason that I know that you are working with the Islamic Republic of Iran is because the Islamic Republic puts out the same narrative about balkanization. That balkanization narrative is something that the Islamists constantly use.
That Africans are losing their lives. To you, it's just another black country to be broken up. You don't care who dies.
Your hands are the one that's covered in blood, not mine.
But we've seen you.
Not mine. I'm not denying the Christian genocide, but you are.
It's not going to happen to Nigeria.
Shame on you.
Move on to your next project. Move on to your next, your disgrace. Your disgrace to the Canadian nation. I'm shocked that you say that you actually practice as a politician in Canada. Move on to the next episode. Leave us alone.
Well, I'm going to leave it there.
For the last 2 years, there have been 52 churches, depending on which region, again, you are referring to, because there are different regions in Nigeria. Since the last 5 years, the attacks, not destroyed, attacks on churches, 102.
How many Christians have been murdered in Nigeria since 2009?
Since over the last 5 years, I can categorically tell you that 177 have been killed. And it does not mean that the killing...
But you said to me... So you said to me earlier. You said to me earlier you did. Yeah, but hang on. Foreign Minister, with respect.
Muslims. They are not necessarily Muslims.
Here's what's happening in Nigeria is jihad. It's the exact same thing that happened on October 7 by Islamists when they broke into Israel and murdered Jews yelling Allahu Akbar. It's the exact same thing that ISIS terrorists did to the Yazidis in Iraq. It's the exact same thing that happened in Lebanon. Here's the only difference between what's happening today in Nigeria versus what happened 1400 years ago when the Muslim Arab invaders came to Persia is that back then people did not have cameras, but today they do. It is 100% jihad. We've seen it before. This is how the Islamist playbook always happens. Right now, you have a Muslim president, and then they decided to choose a Muslim vice president. And so there is actually no Christian representation in the Islamist government. I was a politician for 7 years, Pierce, and I can tell when someone is lying and avoiding the truth. That's exactly what this foreign minister is doing, and shame on him for lying.
Let me tell you, there's a genocide in Nigeria.
All right, this is an explosive interview, Rufai. But I was quite shocked when I heard the figure. 177 Christians have been killed in 5 years. That's what, according to the Foreign Affairs Minister. Quite shocking.
I dare him.
Quite shocking. There are reports. We've seen reports everywhere.
I challenge him to bring out that where he got that data from. He didn't cite the source. It's not true.
Well, all right.
That data is not true. It's porkies.
For you to speak. Meanwhile, global superstar Nicki Minaj gave an address at the United Nations headquarters supporting President Donald Trump's claims that Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria. In her speech, Minaj blatantly stated that Christians in Nigeria are being targeted and families have been torn apart. She also called for urgent action while stressing that this issue is not about taking sides or dividing people, but about uniting humanity. Let's take a look.
In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray. And I want to be clear. Protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people. It is about uniting humanity.
This is about uniting humanity. And this is the reason why we keep highlighting the story, so that it can be tackled properly. But those statistics that the foreign minister reeled out on that show was quite painful to hear. Rufai.
Even me.
Yes.
Ashamed for Nigeria, ashamed for Tuga. Foreign minister of my country, go out there, you don't get facts, you don't get data.
The 200 people that were killed just the other day from your water. 200. Yeah. And the 500 that Dachamo showed us, that's 700 already.
What about the Christmas Eve killings?
Yes.
Amnesty reported that over 1,000 people were killed in the Christmas Eve killings. Okay, let's even say conservative number. Let's say about 300, as reported by some people in that Christmas killings. You say 177, but it shows. And next thing, you are trying to put down the woman and saying all sorts. The woman was right. When we're talking about Muslim tickets, didn't people make noise? Didn't the likes of Buala say that was why he left the APC there? Has he not gone back to the APC now? It's not going to show a level of balancing. And Tuga kept on talking about Sudan. The reason for the problem of Sudan, apart from the artisan problem in the south, when the north and the south was fighting because of minerals and other things that John Garang helped liberate, is that there are two independent warlords. In South Sudan, you have Riek Machar and Salva Kiir fighting. In the northern part of Sudan, after the exits of Umar al-Bashir from the scene, you have Ahmeti and al-Burnham, two top military generals fighting each other for the power of the country. So it's got nothing, to do, and you're trying to relate it to, don't turn Nigeria into Sudan. You see, all of this narrative, please, I'm just saying get your facts right. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Get your facts right. And for, real quickly, the police officers that they used for all of the back and forth, let me just remind them in the words of another police officer, when Wike and Yerima had an obligation, one police officer called the military man in the corner and said, please, don't die in their war. These men are big men.
That's Dele Faroti.
They are just want to advise the police. Don't die in their war. They are big men. They will settle themselves up. But it's very sad. Look at the killings that have been happening in this country. I challenge the minister's rhetoric and his numbers.
Yes.
This is very... So you couldn't Tuga call National Bureau of Statistics and get data.
This is... he appeared to have been reading from
at least they should bring it out. Is that not why we are funding them? We have a data problem.
But we are the media. They can send it to us. We would like to see those figures, because what we have is nothing compared to what the minister reeled out. This is tragedy that is really happening.
And it took him a while before he was able to acknowledge and say the data. At first, he first said, no, we don't know. You can't really distinguish between Christians or Muslim. They don't check the religion of the dead. What do you mean? What kind of talk is that? We're not saying Muslims are not being killed. Yes, of genocidal proportion. But you can't deny the fact that there's a Christian genocide. Let's call it spirit. Can't met yesterday and talked about it again.
All right, Christians are being killed. Christians are being killed. Christians are being massacred. This is the conversation.